What's going on, everybody? I hope you're all having a wonderful day today. For those of you that are new to the channel, my name is Ty, and today in this video, I'm just going to be honest with you, I am not having a wonderful day like I just suggested in my intro, because the Batman Part 2 has been delayed an entire year. Actually, it's only been delayed 364 days, so technically not a year, but I am in shambles right now. For those of you that don't know, The Batman, it's one of my favorite movies of this decade. It's my favorite movie of the year it came out, 2022. And yeah, it's just upsetting news, of course, but listen, we're going to talk about in this video, first of all, why the movie was delayed, second of all, the pros of it being delayed, and also some of the cons of it being delayed. But regardless, let's just dive right into this. So yeah, like I mentioned, I'm a huge fan of The Batman Part 1. I just dressed up as Pattinson for Halloween, and I'm proud to admit it. When The Batman came out just a little bit over 2 years ago, it came out March 2022, it was received great by audiences. It did really well at the box office, so inevitably, because Warner Bros. Wanted to make money, they said, you know what, we're making The Batman Part 2. And it was slated for next year, early October 2025, and unfortunately, it has been delayed, like I said, to October 2nd, 2026. Basically an entire year, and yeah, it's terrible news, of course. No one wants to see a movie delayed, but I want to get into why this movie was delayed. First of all, the biggest factor, of course, is going to be the writer's strike. For those of you that don't know, the writers and actors strike basically, happened over the past summer. And even though, we're a couple months removed, it just still is affecting everything within the industry. Like, just because the earthquake is sort of over, we're still having those aftershocks, the ramifications of what went on. Actors and writers were simultaneously on strike. That killed the industry, and we're going to be feeling that for a while. I feel like by the time this summer hits, we're going to kind of have all the dust settled, and we'll know what movies have been hit from the strike, which is good. But again, we're still in that range where we're feeling the ramifications, and The Batman Part 2 unfortunately got hit with it. And it makes sense. Jeffrey Wright was just asked if he's seen a script or anything, and honestly, he didn't really give any information. He was kind of just like, yeah, haven't seen a script. And there haven't been any plot details leaked. Matt Reeves hasn't said a word. No one's even said a word because apparently, again, like I'm saying, there isn't even a finished script or a script to begin with. So, yeah, that's where things started to get a little bit suspicious, especially because Superman Legacy is only releasing 3 or 4 months before it, and it's already in production, deep production. We have a script, we're getting information about the movie. This movie's only coming out 3 months later, and we don't have a drop of information about it. It makes sense why it was delayed for that reason. The second thing that I saw, which I wasn't very familiar with, but apparently this is a confirmed thing, is that there legitimately was just not enough sound stages or just studios to film in. They were all booked. Other movies were filming. I'm assuming this is in Atlanta where, DC, Marvel, all these big studios film. But yeah, basically the Batman just couldn't get a reservation, at one of these studios to actually film what they need to film. Because of course, all these superhero movies, they have, their CGI stuff. As much as the Batman is grounded, still, you need those sound stages, those big warehouses to film your, more technical things. And I get that. That was kind of funny to me, I'm not going to lie. It feels like DC has just been, put on the back burner. No one cares about them anymore. And the fact that they literally couldn't get a place to film is a little bit funny to me, I'm not going to lie. But yeah, let's get into the pros and cons, what I think we're really getting out of The Batman getting delayed. I want to start with my cons because honestly, I have less cons than my pros, so I just kind of want to get them over with. And I have 2 main cons. The first one is going to make me sound like a baby. There isn't much to analyze. It sucks that this movie was delayed a year. That's about it. The con is that we have to wait longer. That's literally it. There isn't much to analyze. Obviously, as a fan, I want to see the movie immediately. If I could see it tomorrow, I would. You know what I mean? There's no really, way to explain it. There's no deeper meaning. It just sucks that this movie was delayed. The second thing that I think is legitimately a con as to why this movie got delayed is because it could be riding the coattails of superhero hype kind of coming back. What do I mean by that? In 2025, Captain America's coming out, The Thunderbolts, Superman Legacy, and all of those films, Fantastic Four, I forgot to mention, are right before it. So if The Batman was the last one of that year, people are getting excited about good superhero movies coming out, whatever. People will also want to go see The Batman. So it could have performed better, possibly, because of it, riding the wave of momentum that these superheroes movies are kind of pushing towards it. Of course, there's a chance that these movies don't actually end up being good, and that would kill the hype, and then the Batman could suffer. But again, it feels like, we're starting to get a comeback here, especially from DC, because think about it. People love Superman. They're going to say, oh, right, that's a DC movie. We should go see the Batman, even though they're not in the same universe. I'm talking about more general audiences. So yeah, it's not really going to get the opportunity to ride the momentum of superhero films. But again, we don't really know what other superhero movies are coming out in 2026, but 2025 just feels like this big hyped year. And again, we just had like a massive loss basically from that. But regardless, I want to get into my pros because I feel like those are more interesting. My first pro here, honestly, is pretty obvious. It's just the fact that they have breathing room. They have more time to make this movie. For the love of God, that first film is so great. I do not want a rushed final project. Now they've got like over 2.5 years to get into production, to write the script, to, have Matt Reeves conjure up an idea for what he wants to do with this film. And I'm very excited for that reason. Of course, again, it sucks because we have to wait longer, but I want everyone to take their time. Check the script 100 times. Make sure you have people coming in to maybe look it over. I want this film to be immaculate. You get the, CGI artists, because there's going to be CGI in the Batman Part 2. Obviously, there's going to be some at least. To, actually have time to animate everything, have it look crispy, clean. Matt Reeves, of course, though, every movie he's involved with has such great CGI. Planet of the Apes movies look phenomenal. So, of course, obviously the Batman Part 1 as well. Sorry, I'm stumbling a little bit here. Also has phenomenal CGI. So having that time, giving everyone actually, a little bit of breathing room. On top of that, kind of countering one of the cons that I was literally just talking about, I feel like this movie being away from the other superhero films dropping in 2025, which apparently, from the looks of it right now, unless we get more delays, is a lot. We're getting like 6 superhero movies outside of the Batman, and I'm talking about just MCU and just DC. That's wild. So it'll be more like on an island by itself. Again, if people are getting superhero fatigue, if that picks up again, we'll have some breathing room until we get to the Batman Part 2. And again, I don't know how many times I need to say this, but we don't really know what's coming out in 2026 yet. There could also be a lot of superhero films, but at least we'll know that it'll be far away from 2025, which again is just jam-packed, super dense with all these superhero films. And on top of that, the DCU, of course, is releasing Superman Legacy next year. You've got to figure that there's got to be, at least one DCU movie releasing in 2026 as well. So like I was saying, maybe if Superman Legacy is a hit, people might not just immediately jump to DC, but if another DCU movie comes out in early 2026, that'll get even more hype for DC, and then that'll ride right into the Batman Part 2, which releases again in October. So if one releases earlier that year, we'll have a little bit more time to gain momentum, a little bit more time for DC as a studio, just generally, to kind of get back on its feet and say, okay, we're back in business. And I really like that. Honestly, again, it does suck. There really isn't any way around it, I don't want to see a movie getting delayed an entire year, especially when it's already so far into the future, but I want to make sure that they have time to cook up a beautiful movie, because honestly, it's safe to say I have trust in Matt Reeves. Do I have trust in DC if it was just them alone? No, but Matt Reeves is a visionary director. Everything that he puts from the pen to the screen, it seems to work, you know what I mean? So I'm very excited to see the return of Pattinson, and yeah, this is going to be a banger. Another thing, as crazy as this might sound, that is making me feel really good that they delayed this movie, is the fact that we kind of avoided cancellation. Now listen, I know that sounds crazy because the Batman Part 1, it's beloved. Everyone's, so excited about it, but think about it. This movie, they might have had to rush it, and there's a chance that they would say, you know what? I don't know if we're going to be able to fit the Batman 2 into our schedule. We might have to completely cut it. It made a lot of money, but it didn't, hit $1 billion. It didn't make so much money to where it's like, we need to fast track a sequel right now. If Warner Bros., especially with how many stupid decisions that they've been making as of recently, decided to say, you know what, I think that now that we have the DCU coming up, we don't want to do this Elseworlds outside of the DCU stuff. We're going to cut the Batman Part 2. It keeps it safe from getting cut. A little bit more safe, I should say. Think about it. All of us right now, right? It's March. We're going to blink. It's going to be the summer. We're going to blink again, because summer's that hot movie season. And it's going to be October. Then we're going to be saying, oh my God, the Batman's coming out in a year? that's kind of almost too soon, I would argue. You know what I mean? We don't really have that time to really get hype. Almost like a No Way Home type of event. And obviously, it's not like we having those returning characters come back or anything, but just to be excited for a quality film. Sometimes, distance makes the heart grow fonder. So I feel like in a way, it keeps this movie safe from being canceled, as insane as that sounds, and we get to build more hype. My final pro that does kind of tie into the other things I was already talking about. I know all these points kind of like overlap with each other, but there isn't too many like completely separate ideas I could really talk about here, is the fact that Superman is going to be getting his year in 2025 and Batman is going to be getting his year in 2026. Now listen, I don't know when The Brave and the Bold's coming out. Obviously not 2025. Probably not 2026. I'm assuming 2027 because why would they release two Batman movies in the same year? But I think it just makes sense to have Batman get his shine, get his focus. You don't have to worry about people comparing them, at least immediately. Naturally, 2 years after they both come out, people are going to be arguing about which movie's better, who do you like better, whatever. But they get their own focus, both from audiences and both from the box office, because that's what you need. You need the movie to make money, all that. So again, we're kind of taking a break. Two of DC's main heroes, obviously Batman and Superman, that's their top two. They're getting their own space that kind of get their own hype, if that makes sense, and get their own attention, much needed attention, may I say, because man, I'm very excited, and I'm going to be giving this movie a lot of attention as well. But guys, that's going to just about do it for today. Honestly, I feel like I was sort of rambling about similar topics or whatever. This wasn't necessarily my best, unedited, uncut kind of raw discussion here. But, regardless, I just wanted to talk about this because, again, it really is killing me. It sucks. I was really excited for this movie. But at the end of the day, I'm happy that they're just giving it time. You know what I mean? Don't rush greatness. Let this movie marinate and give us a good final product. Very confident in Matt Reeves. Good luck. Not that he's ever going to see this to you, my friend. And yeah, guys, that's going to just about do it for today. Thank you guys for watching this video. I love you guys, and I will see you in the next video.